Ladies and gentlemen, good day, good evening, wherever you may be. Thank you all for joining the Brew City Lounge. I am your host, Brandon. You can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Wisco_Brandon, and also follow the show on Twitter and Facebook at Brew City Pod. Welcome to another awesome, jam-packed, fun, and exciting episode of the Brew City Lounge. As always, I am very excited to have you guys tuning in, whether you are on the live stream or if you're listening on your smart device, wherever you get your podcasts. Good day to you, and thank you so much for giving the show a listen. It is absolutely so much appreciated. As always, absolute honor and privilege to be here to talk about our favorite teams with you. Of course, I am talking about the Milwaukee Bucks and Milwaukee Brewers. Lots to talk about, lots to dive into. As always, the good, the bad, and unfortunately, the ugly. I'm going to be joined here shortly with special guest Aaron Nagler of CheeseheadTV. Super excited to get his thoughts. He's a diehard Brewers fan. Bucks and the Heat. Is it revenge time for the Bucks, or the Heat going to have the Bucks number once again? So we'll talk a little bit about that. Brewers offense is still, unfortunately, minus Sunday's game, very, very bad. But good news on the back end of that. Christian Yelich is back in the lineup. He is in the DH spot tonight. Brewers open a 2-game set against the Kansas City Royals. Brandon Woodruff and Corbin Burnes are slated to start, so you would hope that this is a 2-game series the Brewers are able to take away from the Kansas City Royals. And some COVID news regarding the city of Milwaukee, regarding the Milwaukee Bucks. Breaking news this afternoon, the city of Milwaukee has decided as of June 1st to pull off of the COVID restrictions, and the mask mandate will no longer be in effect. So what does that mean going forward to Bucks and Brewers games? Well, also in June 15th, I believe it is, the Bucks and the folks over at the Pfizer Forum are planning for 100% capacity in June, if the Bucks do make it that far. So that is also super exciting for the city of Milwaukee, not only for Bucks fans, but for sports fans. We're going to have a whole stadium. It's going to be phenomenal. I saw a video clip out on Twitter last night. It was a hockey team. I forgot who it was. They had a full audience in person, and it was phenomenal to see. But before we get into all that stuff, guys, again, as always, as I tell you every show, Brew City Lounge has partnered up with the awesome people over at Fanatics. If you're looking to buy your team's favorite apparel for your college teams, your sports team, jump on over to Fanatics. The link is posted on the social media sites for Brew City Lounge, on Twitter, on Facebook. Click that link, shop for your favorite teams. Right now, if you use the code 64SHIP, you get free shipping on any orders over $64. So check it out. It is phenomenal stuff over there. Awesome sales going on right now. And joining me now, brought to you by the good folks over at One Call Technology. Give them a call at 888-585-8850 for all your business telecom needs. Aaron Nagler of CheeseheadTV, co-founder of CheeseheadTV. Follow him on Twitter at Aaron Nagler. Aaron, I know you got a lot to talk about with the Packers. I am so thankful to have you on the show to talk some Brewers. Thank you for joining me. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. It is kind of a relief a bit to not have to talk about the Packers. Look, let's just get this right out of the way, right at the top. I don't know the Brewers anywhere near the way I know the Packers. Like, I love the Brewers. I love rooting for them. I pay attention. But, man, you want to talk about, like, who's in the farm system or whatever, like, I got no clue. But I love the Brewers. I grew up with the Brewers. My Brewers are a real connection to my dad. My dad and I used to listen to the Brewers all the time. So very happy that you asked me on to talk.
And I figured, there's a lot going on, in the Packer world. From what I'm hearing, something.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no idea,
nothing.
Guys. If you're on the live feed and you're listening to the show, if you have any questions about Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Nagler has all the answers. Just find him on Twitter.
Jesus, why'd you got to do that to me? Good Lord.
I'm only kidding. No, Aaron, it's a podcast about the Bucks and the Brewers. I'm with you. I'm not the most knowledgeable guy when it comes to baseball or basketball, but what I do have is passion about obviously the Packers. You can look behind me. The Packers are my baby. I hold near and dear to my heart, and all my heart breaks. But
we met at Lambeau, didn't we?
We met.
I mean, come on.
Cool story. If you guys are on, this is how cool Aaron Nagler is. Okay, don't have any prejudgments about Aaron Nagler. We were on.
All right.
We were on. I'm sorry. I was at Lambeau Field for a Monday night game against the Detroit Lions back when we had 100% capacity and COVID didn't exist. Back when the world was phenomenal. And I messaged Aaron. I said, "Hey, I'd love to meet up with you. I'm a big fan of Cheesehead TV. I follow you guys religiously." Blah blah. Met up with me. He didn't have a drink because you were working the Packer game, but I sat there and drank my spotted cow and picked his brain for about 10, 15 minutes, and it was phenomenal.
That was great, man. It was great. And I love that you reached back out because I remember we talked about like, let's do something. And then literally years went by. And then I got your email and I was like, this is great. I love the Brewers and I love just to be able to talk about something that I don't have to be like, oh, when you say this, you're like, everyone's going to come back at you on Twitter and like destroy you for being wrong. Like, I just love that I can just talk about the Brewers and like we can just chill. That's
what I was on. Yeah, I was watching the Packers Daily with you this morning about, people asking about draft picks and about Aaron Rodgers. And the best thing about football, and we'll get into the Brewers here in a minute. The best thing about football is we don't know anything until they play the game, until the season comes along.
Exactly. Right?
So again, we're not looking to see, who your favorite prospect is for the Brewers. I figured it would be fun because everybody thinks of Cheesehead TV and Aaron Nagler as, yes, diehard Packer fanatics, and you guys are absolutely. But you're also a Brewer fan, and you're from Wisconsin. And I know a lot of people know you on Twitter, obviously know you live in New York City and operate out there, which is phenomenal. I love New York City.
See, it's funny you say that because that, I think, because obviously we've met and clearly you followed along with Cheesehead TV. But man, so many people think I live in Wisconsin. Like I get that all the time. When people realize I live in New York, they're like, "What?" Like, so I grew up in Appleton, where my parents still live, and that's one of the things I'm most excited about. Things opening up pandemic wise, because I can go back to seeing my folks because I stay with them when I go for the home games. Mm-hmm. So I just love being in Wisconsin. I love being from there, and I love the Brewers. Like I said, it's a connection to my dad. We grew up listening to Euchre on the radio. So that Wisconsin through and through, no doubt about it.
And so we're going to dive right into it. Like as a child, for me going back, I was raised in the 90s with the Brewers, and there wasn't a whole lot to root for in the 90s. So, when people ask you like, what's your favorite memory? I remember going to County Stadium. I remember, guys like Jeremy Burnitz and Jeff Cirillo.
Oh, wow. Cirillo, yes.
Mike Matheny. School. Yeah. So,
man, those are some names right there. Come on.
With the old school M and the B logo.
Yep. Right.
But if you can reach all the way back, what are some of your favorite memories as like growing up with the Brewers?
Oh man, I love everything about it, man. Because I went to, I grew up going to County Stadium. We would make a pilgrimage down there pretty much a few times, but we go at least once every summer. My dad and I, like I said, every memory of summer is about my dad doing something out in the yard or around the house, maybe painting the house or doing something in the garage. But he always had Euchre on the radio. Like talk about the soundtrack of summer is just Euchre's voice calling the game all the time. And obviously they made that great run to the series, against the Cardinals. And I'll never forget how upset I was because Raleigh Fingers was injured. And so obviously that affected the whole series. Like if Fingers is healthy, they have a much better chance of winning that whole series. But that first game where I think it was 11-0 that they won. And I was so elated. I was so happy. My parents let me stay up, which in and of itself was a total victory. But I just remember we are going to win the World Series. And I'll never forget. Packers fans know, anybody who follows me, my dad was the one who said, Aaron, a lot of ball game left. Like it was one game, My dad would always say that during Packers games. He said it there in the World Series. He was always the one instilling in me. It's like, it's not over till it's over. So obviously there's heartbreak there when they lose that series. But man, just anytime I remember the Paul Molitor's hitting streak. That was appointment listening. We would be out in the backyard, and even my mother, who doesn't care for sports doesn't care for the Brewers or the Packers in any way, shape, or form. Our whole day as a family would stop when the Brewers were playing at that point because it was, is Paul Molitor going to extend the streak?
Yeah.
Like that was it, man. Everything about summer was about the Brewers. And that's why I still love them now. What's funny is I really kind of fell away from being a Brewers fan for a while, moving to New York, living life away from Wisconsin. But the MLB at Bat app is what really brought me back because I can listen to Euchre. Like literally once I discovered that app and I could listen to Euchre in my living room in New York City, I was right back in. That was about 5 years ago.
That's what I was going to get to because, I was in the Army for, people that listen to the show know, I was in the Army for a long time, and I'm kind of with you. It's real easy, especially with baseball, because you're talking talking 6 months, long of a season. If you don't have the MLB app, it's really hard to fall out of it. You can catch the scores on, the ticker and all that kind of stuff, but that's what I was going to ask. How are you watching games, with the app, every night?
Almost every day. Like I don't catch every single one because like you said, there are so many. I've got young kids. Well, no, they're not so young anymore. I've got kids who are over a lot and like we hang out and we go out and, we're doing stuff. And so I don't catch every game, but man, I'm always aware of what's going on. Case in point, this past weekend, we were at Prospect Park during a Brewers game. And I'm, watching them get shelled via the app. And I'm like, oh, man. And my daughter's like, what? I'm like, oh, the Brewers are losing. They're like, would you put your phone away? I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, fine. But, yeah, so it's great now because I'm always connected and I always know what's going on. And I love it. I do love that. It's a connection to home, I mean, I know, being in the Army when you're displaced, like literally the whole reason we started doing Cheesehead TV was to connect Packers fans around the world. This whole idea of you have a hometown team that you love, but you're somewhere else. It's so great to be able to like just stay on top of what's happening with the Brewers. Like I know Christian Yelich is on the squad, like not he isn't up, but like that he made the trip, right? So I wouldn't know that unless I was, following along on the app. So I love that idea.
And that's, for me, it was kind of like when I would watch you and Corey, or I would watch a Packer game, or I would watch a Brewer game, being displaced, being far away, wherever it was, stateside or in another country, watching you guys, either in the crowd or, in the backyard or whatever, it just brought a sense of home to me. So for me, watching those games, seeing the crowd go nuts after a big, Ryan Braun, hit, it brought like a sense of home back to me after missing it for such a long time. So for me, it's the same with you. It's a piece of home, and it's crazy how much sports is, awesome.
It's a touchstone and it connects you, right? I mean, this idea that, and it's so funny because like instantly when something serious, quote unquote, happens, like a pandemic or whatever, you instantly realize how kind of not fruitless it all is, but like how surface level it can possibly be. But at the same time, like, yes, but in the real world sense, it also connects us in a way that probably we need to lean into. So I love that. I love this idea that like a sports team, my hometown team, the Brewers, can connect me to people like yourself or just anybody out there who grew up in Wisconsin and knows what that's all about, knows what that vibe is. I love it. I'm all in.
And as you probably already know, Milwaukee, as much as they love the Bucks, it's a Brewer town. They love their baseball. Obviously, Packers in the NFL are king, but the Brewers are right there as far as fan favorites. Now, looking at the Brewers, I'm sure you've heard, next month, they move into the 100% capacity.
I'm so excited.
So
great.
Absolutely. So am I. And it's such a different game when you're talking about
the whole vibe around the stadium, right?
When you go go from 60 game season, nobody in the crowd, to 25%, okay, that's great. And then you go from 50 to 100. I actually did Saturday, I did a live pregame show. I was at American Family Field.
Nice.
And it was just being in the.
Does it hurt your soul to have to say that?
I'm a lot. When I first.
You're probably used to it at this point.
Kind of. I just started this podcast a month and a half ago. So I'm
Right.
brand new, like literally
Gotcha.
brand new.
So you've come in on the ground floor of American Family.
I've come in with American Family
Gotcha.
Field, but I was
Gotcha.
really worried about it because I was like, I was
I'm
saying
gonna
it.
keep calling it Miller Field.
I know. I
Miller
was
Park,
saying it.
right?
I was saying it over in my head. You know, I was like, I got to make sure. I was on a couple other podcasts with a couple other
Just
people.
call it County Stadium. It's fine. It's no one cares.
Are you?
We all know what you mean.
Are you planning on possibly getting out here for
I want to, yeah, in the
Yeah.
worst way. It's all going to be tricky because of obviously Packers training camp. I'll be out for camp. What I want to have happen, and this is going to take some doing, what I want to happen is I haven't looked at the schedule yet, but I got to try. I want to see if I can get out there a little bit earlier prior to camp,
Mhm.
and then hopefully the Brewers are at home. A buddy of mine is a trainer for the Brewers. So
Okay.
if I can just get out there, I got tickets. Like I got
You're
no
set.
problem getting into the game. That's not an issue. But it's just timing as far as like I can't be because if I go away from New York for too long, I just really miss my girls, and
Mhm.
I just it's just tough because this is home. But at the same time, I do go to Wisconsin every summer, and I go for training camp, and I'm there for a couple weeks. So if I can't get out in front of it, then maybe the Packers will have an off day during like hopefully when the Brewers have a home game. I don't know, but my hope is yes, I will be out there at some point. I was there not this past summer, obviously because of the pandemic, but 2 summers ago I was down there and at Miller Park for the first time ever, and then now they've changed it obviously, but great stadium, man. Like, oh my God, the vibe there is wonderful. So yeah, I'm hoping at some point this summer I'll be.
Yeah, speaking of Miller and Fam Field, we'll call it. They had
County
a lot.
Stadium. Yes, County Stadium. Correct.
They've actually done a lot to it. I know. Now, obviously, you'll
Mhm.
remember Bernie's Chalet back at County Stadium. That's what they turned it into at AmFam Field. Now they went back to.
Really?
It's actually really cool. It sticks out.
Nice.
It sticks out a little bit more. They added a bunch of seats from the last time you were here. I think they probably added a good 5,000 to 7,000 seats in total.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
they went with they stole the page out of Matt LaFleur's book. They went with after they hit home runs, they do the flashing of the lights.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. But it's cool. It's actually really,
I guess. I think it's kind of cheesy myself. I mean, I wanted to like it when the Packers did it, but I was just like, really, someone literally just sitting there going like, yo, flipping his, I don't know. I just feels cheesy, but I'm sure it's great. Man, I just want him to go down. Does he still go down? Because back in the day, he went down into a mug of beer.
Like
but
a
now
mug, yeah. Now
he doesn't do that anymore, right?
It's just a platform. Yeah.
See, that's nonsense.
I remember
the Brewers. He should slide into beer.
Well,
that's not be difficult. That's a total marketing win. Why are you punting on that?
That's why I was so mad about. I was mad about the name change, and people are like, "Oh, it's only a name." I'm like, "No, it fits in
but it fits because it's Miller and it's beer, exactly."
I said
money,
it's just
money talks, man.
Money talks, and I don't know, but. Getting into a little bit of the Brewers team, I made a couple of statements, and I've made them a couple guests, that have come on.
Get yourself in trouble? Did you get yourself in trouble? You cause some waves?
It's possible.
A little pot?
It's possible,
right.
but and you'll either appreciate this or you'll call me crazy because
okay, all right.
You've been around to see the better Brewer teams in the 80s. I said that this Brewer starting rotation. Again, I'm only 31 years old.
Right.
The Brewers really haven't been all that good up until recently in my lifetime. I said that this Brewers rotation is the best that it's ever had, period. From starting pitching starter number one,
right. I feel you.
All the way to Josh Hader. I said I think this is the best starting rotation that I think in Brewers history.
The best one I don't know about Brewers history, but it's certainly the best one I can remember in recent memory. There's no doubt about that. The fact that they have gotten so little run support over the last 2-3 weeks is just like mind numbing. And then the bats finally come alive and then they give up a ton of runs. Yep. Thankfully they held on the other night, but the pitching is amazing. I'll ask you this. Do you think Hader should be the closer? I know he's the closer, but I think Devin Williams should be the closer. I think he's amazing and he should be their ace. That's
I don't think you're wrong at all. To be honest with you, I'll tell you this though. I love Craig Counsell. Love Craig Counsell.
I do too. And I get, it's so funny watching Twitter during Brewers games.
The meltdowns.
Just like every dude who ever coached a youth baseball team is like, oh, this is the most ridiculous decision. Look, this is something I wouldn't even let my kids do. Like, oh, dude, shut up. Like, come on.
I call it the dark web.
The dark web of the Brewers.
That's
the
what I
man
call
has got the pelts on the wall. He's been there for like he's a baseball lifer who has achieved this amazing gig as the manager of the Brewers. Let him manage. Like, yes, is he always right? Of course not. And my one criticism of Counsell is that he sometimes leans too hard into the numbers, right? The analytics, the idea of like, this guy has thrown so many pitches, so now I have to take him out, rather than he's throwing hummers. He's awesome. He's vibing. Just let him ride it, man. Just let him ride it. Like, for the most part, he does a good job. But that if I had one little criticism as a total layman who doesn't understand anything about baseball, that's where I'm like, no, man, just let that guy go. A couple more batters.
That's exactly where, it's exactly where I lean, because you see the Brewers, they'll be in a tight game, like a 1-run, maybe 2-run game.
And then all of a sudden it explodes.
And then
he makes a change.
And that's what I got. The issue I have is he is so set on Devin Williams in the 8th inning and Josh Hader in the 9th inning. What's wrong with is
just
Devin Williams
Devin go? Just let Devin
able
go.
to pitch more than 1 inning?
Just let Devin go. I'm in on that, man. Like, and look, and it's no hate to Josh Hader. I think he's obviously great. He's got the stuff. I get it, but I think Devin would be a better closer. I really do. That's just me.
I think that's if you're looking at, if you're an outsider looking in, even if you're an insider, it's a great problem to have. It's a great debate.
I mean, right. Talk about first world problems. I mean, good Lord. But I love it. It's fun to watch.
I'm with you though. Like, Craig Counsell's kind of with the numbers. It's like, okay, like the 7th inning, it always seems to be, it's a 1-run game. Like, get Devin Williams out there, let him pitch the 7th and 8th inning, or get Josh Hader out there, because before Josh Hader became a closer, that's what he was doing.
Exactly. And he's got he's an amazing pitcher. I get this. He has got heat for days, but that's what he's got. He's not an artist. He's not out there like making guys swing at curveballs or change ups or whatever. He's got heat. That is his game. And he's got firepower. I understand that. But Devin's got it all, man. Like, I don't know. That's where I fall on that.
I love I'm such a little bit of a fanboy.
I'm a major fanboy. I make no bones about it.
I was at the mall. We were at a birthday party at the movies, and
this is the most Wisconsin story I've ever heard, and it's only like 4 sentences in.
They just beat the Cubs, and Devin Williams came in and shut them down. Like, there was guys on 2nd and 3rd, whatever it was. Right. And I walked over to the sports store, and I bought an autographed Devin Williams baseball.
Yes, I was like, you did.
I absolutely did, and I was like, that.
I love him.
I'm with you too. I wish he would flex a little bit more with. Just, I understand analytics are taking over sports, or they have been for quite some time, and it's every sport, really.
I get it. And there's a place for it. Like, I'm not anti-analytics in any way, shape, or form. But at some point, like, you got to feel for a guy and let him ride a little bit. Like, also in a sport where there's like 100+ freaking games, like, oh my God, oh no, did you let a guy go too long and maybe he gave up a hit or two that it wasn't supposed to, and like they scored a run and whatever, and maybe yes, that even led to a loss. Oh my God, how are you going to make it up? Oh right, you've got 100 more games to go.
Exactly, and that's but God, baseball is all about numbers. I run a Brewers podcast, and I probably be lost to tell you what half of the acronyms and the numbers mean. I mean, I'm from the old school eye test. Like, we just put a game on, and if a pitcher's feeling it, keep him in and figure it out. Right. Yeah,
let him go, man. I'm with you.
You love Devin Williams, and I think a lot of us will get on there. Is there another player on this team where you're just like, that's my guy, like, no matter what?
Well, you know what? That's where I have to take issue with David Stearns. Like, Aguilar was my guy.
Yeah,
and
he's tearing it up.
Let him go.
Yeah.
And now, of course, he's doing amazing down there in Florida. I mean, that one hurt. You know who else? Moose. I loved Moose.
Oh yeah,
Let Moose go.
absolutely, yeah.
But I think that was kind of pre-baked in though, because every time he made a big play or a hit or whatever, then everyone would go Moose. That reminded me of Cecil Cooper and Coop. So I was kind of like, that's kind of unfair. Like it was already baked in. On the current squad though, I don't know. Garcia, love Garcia. I think you never know. And I love Travis Shaw. I love his story. I love the fact that, he came in after the trade and was kind of on fire and was so, electric, and then really obviously fell off, got reassigned, and now he's back. And I love it, man. I absolutely love it. I love his story. I root for him. Like, that's what I look for guys to root for. And he's definitely one of them.
Now, offensively, it's obviously been a struggle. Like I
don't know. They have offense. The Brewers. This is the Brewers we're talking about, right?
Apparently, they try. So, I
love David Stearns, by the way. Like,
I do too.
Oh yeah, the last 2 weeks has not been up to our standard, but we're going to see what happens here, and if it doesn't change, we're going to make strident changes. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. So I did. Yeah, I did a little bit of. Not that I needed to do a little bit of research, but I wanted to see where exactly this offense was sitting, and it's actually pretty pathetic. So
you don't say.
It really is. So obviously, in the last 14 games, they're 4-10. So there's clearly a struggle with winning baseball games. They're fifth most in the major leagues in strikeouts, and then you dive into the other numbers, the bottom 5 categories that they fall in throughout major leagues: batting average, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, runs batted in, runs, even hits. I mean, almost every
just hitting the baseball.
Every category in Major League Baseball offensively, they are in the bottom 5. Now, I want to ask you this because you're a smart guy when it comes to football and
right.
All sports really, but
God help us. No,
but
thanks.
Again, you guys, hey, if you guys are tuning in, this is the Brew City Pod. I do have Mr. Aaron Nagler. Follow him on Twitter at Aaron Nagler. He has all the answers to Aaron Rodgers. So whatever you need, shoot him him a tweet.
Never forgiven you for that. Never going to happen.
I'm totally kidding.
You are a dead man.
When you look at, I love your responses on Twitter to these people. I'll be laying in bed before I go to bed, just cracking up, and I'll be like,
oh man.
But so if you're looking at this team,
the Brewers, you need me to solve the Brewers' offense? Is that
no more Packers talk? So right. When they're struggling on offense as a professional team, do you look at it as like, okay, these are professional hitters, they know what they need to do, they need to go out and do it? Or are you looking at the hitting coach? Because there's a lot of people on Twitter that are trying to get the hitting coach fired.
It's always about the hitting coach, right? This reminds me of like when the Packers get injured.
Exactly.
It's all the strength and conditioning program or the strength coaches, right? Now, it's all on the players. To me, at this point, they've been hitting their whole fucking lives.
Exactly.
Like, this is not new. Like, they've got to the major leagues because they can hit a baseball. And yes, are they struggling right now? There's no doubt about it. And maybe Stearns has compiled a bunch of dudes who can't hit. I don't know, but I know they've been injured. I know they've had guys up and down. I know obviously Yelich has been out most of the year, essentially. And Locane has come back, and I just think, for me, it's let it ride. I don't think I don't fire the pitching coach or anything like that. I think, yes, eventually they will, quote, find their stride. I think that's baseball, right? Because it is so long, because you have so many games. I do think you got to weather this storm. Now, that said, doesn't make it any less frustrating. Certainly doesn't make it any less frustrating when you've got this all-world pitching staff, which is absolutely dominating opponents, and you can't put up more than one run. I mean, of course, it's funny you say that because, like, we talk about the offense and lack thereof, but this Brewers team has given up more Grand Slam home runs than any team I can ever remember, not just Brewers-wise, but Major League-wise. Yep. What is that about? That blows my mind how many Grand Slams this team has given up.
And as a Brewer fan, it's always, I don't want to say we're a pessimistic fan base, but we kind of are. We don't have a whole lot.
I mean, Wisconsin sports has beat it into you, though.
Right. So we're always right.
Whether it's the Brewers losing the World Series, whether it's the Packers blowing umpteenth numbers of NFC Championship games, whether it's the Bucks losing the Eastern Conference Finals, it doesn't matter. All we know is getting close and then losing. So when they finally do something, we get really excited.
And like I was saying, we're always waiting for that shoe to drop, and
The
now
proverbial shoe to drop. Exactly.
and we have, for I would say almost the last decade with Fielder and Braun, and obviously Yelich, and like you said, Moose and Aguilar back a few years ago. We've always had that offense, and we've always had a decent bullpen, and it always was like, well, if we only had a really good starting pitcher, we would probably be there.
Right.
Now we got it, and now we can't score a run. Like
can't produce a run. Yeah,
I don't know. It's frustrating, to say the least. You would hope Yelich is back. I don't know if you no pun intended.
Oh, is he back tonight?
He's back. Tonight? He's somewhat back. He's DHing tonight in Kansas City.
Oh, okay. Very good.
So I guess that's good news.
Positive news.
Yeah.
Hey, come on now.
I think
I love it.
I think going forward with guys like hope you would imagine and you would hope that Yelich stays healthy and bounces right back, and then you eventually get guys like Keston Hira back. Omar Narvaez is hitting the ball really well.
Yes, he is.
The division is kind of still up for grabs. Now, I don't know how much.
That's the thing. I think the Brewers did pretty well, early in the year, as far as like we talked about, like the baseball season goes on forever. So you just want to accumulate wins, right? You just want to get as many W's as you can. And the Brewers did a decent job.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the last 2 weeks has been a freaking baton death march, but they won a bunch of games early. That's good. That helps you. That gives you a little bit of cushion. So, yes, now they've fallen back a little bit. They're hovering around 500. I get that. But now, regather yourself, find your stride, and let's go win some games. So, yeah, no, I'm with you, man. The division's totally up for grabs. There's no one's running away with it early, and that's what you want. You want to at least be in it, right?
And I think
those games matter later.
Right. And a lot of that credit, I think, goes for Craig Counsell. Again, we were talking about him just a little bit ago. Yep. But my God, he at one point had 18
the mash
players.
The mash unit he was putting together, the lineup cards every night. Are you kidding me? I get the alerts, from, again, talking about the MLB at Bat app. I get those lineup cards as soon as they're submitted, and I'm like there was a stretch there. I was like, who, and who? Come on, and they were winning games. So. Yeah, I can't hate on the guy.
Yeah, it was for a stretch, and during that stretch, you're talking about sweeping the Padres, taking 3 out of 4 against the Los Angeles Dodgers.
So far, that West Coast swing was the highlight of the year. Well, no, okay, that's second only to taking it to the Cubs. That's obviously always,
and that's kind of what when I have a problem with baseball games is I don't mind. You're going to lose games, obviously you're gonna. Yeah.
You're going to play 1,000 of them. Yeah, you're going to lose some.
It's going to happen. I just hate. It's kind of like losing to the Bears and the Vikings. I hate losing to the Cubs and the Cardinals, especially when you have that Cubs or that Cardinals series just a few days ago. You could have won every game. Literally, you could have won every game.
Everyone. Yep.
So
frustrating.
It's frustrating.
Totally
but I got to ask you. We'll get it wrapped up here shortly. I got to ask you real quick. There's Twitter, I call it the dark web, is going wild over it was the Chicago White Sox versus the Minnesota Twins last night. It was a 3-0 count. The Twins were pitching one of their positional players. I think he's like a first baseman. To be honest, I don't know where he plays, but he threw him a 3-0 pitch. The player for the Twins.
Sort of quote.
Yeah. So as a Brewer, as a old school baseball fan, what are your thoughts on the unwritten rules of baseball?
Oh, they're so stupid. Come on. Just go hit the freaking ball. That is literally the point of the game, right? I don't even care. I don't sort of if there's been a crystallization of why you're irrelevant, boom, there it is.
Right.
No, the pitch was there. It was hanging over the plate and he smashed it. That's literally his job. All unwritten rules, bat flip, do as many bat flips as you want. I don't care. Unwritten rules are the dumbest rules. That's all I know.
And, going back on that, I agree with you. I think that I don't know where the rules came, into play with you can't do this or you can't do that. Probably right? long before I, maybe even before you, with also
made me sound like Moses there, way before your stone tablet days.
Going on,
which is fair.
Going on the commissioner now, there's a ton of people who knock Roger Goodell. I don't really necessarily. There's things that I like about him. There's things I don't like about him. But he has made the NFL into well, I shouldn't say he has made, but he has brought it, the NFL to King. Like
he shepherded
the NFL, right?
Yeah,
the NFL
no
rules
doubt.
even the NFL offseason brings in more viewers than anything.
No
So
doubt about it.
Rob Manfred for Major League Baseball has done a few things and is looking at doing a few more things. Relief pitchers can only pitch a minimum of 3 batters. He wants to move the pitching mound back a foot and a half or something like that. He wants to speed up the game essentially, more offense.
They've been talking about that forever.
Yeah. So like as a baseball fan, what are your thoughts on him trying to, change the game?
I totally get it. And it's long overdue. I understand the traditionalists will buck against it, and that's understandable. You fall in love with a game in a certain way, right? We all do. We all come to a game in a certain way. And I understand people getting upset about it or thinking that they're ruining, quote unquote, ruining the game. I don't see it as that. I mean, the guy has to fight against this absolute malaise when it comes to his sport. Baseball is always going to be romanticized. It is this idea that it lasts throughout the summer. I can't remember who the writer is, but there is a great line. I think it was in a New Yorker piece years ago, which I absolutely loved. It says, baseball holds your hand through the summer. And I absolutely love that. It's the absolute truth. You know what I mean? Like, we all want we all want the summer to last as long as possible. And baseball certainly helps in that regard because it does seem to stretch on forever. The problem is like, you don't want that happening, that you don't want that feeling in each individual game. You want the game itself to be accessible to a modern fan. And hello, people in the 1920s, when they were watching baseball, it was the most exciting thing ever to watch guys stand around and then possibly hit every once in a while. In the modern age, where kids are viewing everything online and they're watching things and consuming content, cut. I'll never forget when I was at school at North Carolina School of the Arts, and this is true. There was a study done where, they showed the same reel of images that were cut at a certain speed, cut. And they showed it to one group, which was 15 to 30-year-olds. And they showed it to another group, which was 30 to 60-year-olds. And they asked both groups how many images they could identify afterwards. They gave them a card of like, did you see this, or this? And they all checked off their boxes. And of course, the younger crowd could identify almost twice as many images. That's just their brain, and that's how it's wired. And this is when I was in school. This is 1996, 97. I mean, it's 2021 now. What do you think these kids' brains are right now? So when you talk about taking them out to a ball game or watching the game or trying to get them invested in baseball, come on. You've got to do something. Your sport is, for all intents and purposes, dying with this generation. So if you want to compete with TikTok, you want to compete with online, Twitch, whatever, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. I totally, completely understand it. I'm still going to love going out to a game and relaxing and chilling on a summer night. Hell, I'm going to Citi Field when the Brewers come here in July.
That's awesome.
Just to relax and hang out with friends. It's not life and death, right? It's a Brewers game. I'm going to have a good time. But if you're the commissioner of baseball, yeah, you got to figure out a way to make the game more accessible for the next generation. And I think it's, like I said, I think it's long overdue.
I don't disagree with you. I think that you don't want to see, in my opinion, you just don't want to see too much being tinkered with. Last year they had year they had the juiced baseballs. Obviously they unfortunately only had 60 games due to obvious reasons, but you would hope that there's not too much done to it. It has been around for as long as it has.
And that's why I think some of it is good and some of it I can take or leave. Like, to me, the moving back of the mound, I'm not in with that. Like, I think these are the dimensions. This is the game, right? But I love what they've done with extra innings, putting a guy on second base, et cetera, all of that. Like, yes, 100%. It helps the game. It helps, A, speed it along. B, gives it a little more juice, a little more excitement, a little more peril. I'm in on that. I think and more, they need more ideas like that. I think that's a good thing for baseball.
So I gotta ask you this question before I let you go. And I tend to ask it to most of my guests, but I'm gonna add a team in there for purposes of obvious reasons. So the Green Bay Packers recently, very successful. The Milwaukee Bucks getting, rolling a little bit here.
On a good run, no doubt.
On a good run. And then you have the Milwaukee Brewers. Obviously, I would say in my lifetime, this is the golden era in Milwaukee Brewers baseball thus far. Obviously, you want to see a few more big wins. But so between the Bucks, the Packers, and the Brewers, which team, in your opinion, brings home a championship first?
Oh, the Packers. No doubt about the Packers. No question. Aaron Rodgers will be back this year. Everyone's all worried about Aaron. Like, yeah, he'll be back.
He's going to be back. Yeah,
they're going to win this year.
I'm itching to pick your brain so much about the Packers, but I'm going to hold myself back because I want to give you a kind of myself a mental break from the Aaron Rodgers.
We all need it, dude.
Apparently, Kenny Mayne has something. Him and Rodgers.
The interview on Monday on his last Sports Center.
So
that's it.
Again, find him on Twitter at Aaron Nagler next Wednesday with the Aaron Rodgers on Kenny Mayne. He'll have all your Aaron Rodgers answers. But no, seriously, Aaron, thank you. Thank you so much for jumping on. I know, probably getting asked to come on a Brewers podcast isn't something that happens to you every day.
It's great. I love it. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about anything other than Aaron Rodgers and a team that I love, a team that connects me, like I said, to my family, my home. I love it. I love it so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys. He is Aaron Nagler. You can find him on Twitter at Aaron Nagler. Check out CheeseheadTV.com. Everything and everything Packers. Go ahead and follow them on Twitter as well at CheeseheadTV. Aaron, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Have a great night, man. Thanks a lot.
Take care, man. That was Aaron Nagler, and that was tons of fun. He's a Packer guy. He covers the Packers day in and day out, but he's also from Appleton, Wisconsin, like he was talking about. He knows this Brewers team. He follows them. If you follow him on Twitter at Aaron Nagler, you'll see he's live tweeting the Brewers just like we are. So my plan was for this show to do a little bit of Brewers and then maybe a little bit of Bucks, but I think I'm going to hold off on Bucks talk today. Now, if you're following on the show on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook at Brew City Lounge, you can drop a comment. Should I break into a little bit of the Bucks? I did kind of want to wait on the Bucks until Friday. The Eastern Conference and the Western Conference playing games are happening starting tonight. I believe the Eastern Conference starts tonight. So I think Friday I'm gonna turn the show into an all Bucks show. You can drop a comment on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on that. If you do want me to dip into the Bucks, we certainly can. But I did want to preview real quick the Brewers matchup with the Kansas City Royals. Again, the Milwaukee Brewers sitting a game above 500, 21-20, and then also matching up with you could say, underperforming Kansas City Royals team as well at sitting at 18-22. Brandon Woodruff does get the start tonight versus Chris Bubik. Interesting to see what that matchup is going to turn into because both of these teams have been struggling very, very much offensively. Kansas City, like I was talking about with Aaron Nagler, the Brewers offense, again, if you missed it, it's pretty pathetic. They're bottom 5 in the Major League Baseball in average on base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, runs batted in, runs, and hits. I mean, if you know baseball, even if you don't know baseball, if I told you the Brewers are bottom 5 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 categories, that would probably be a little bit of a red flag. So with that being said, you do get Christian Yelich tonight. He is in that DH spot. It's going to be interesting to see how he responds. Now, obviously, he was down in Nashville, played a few of the games down there, and he was back in the lineup the next day. So you would imagine that hopefully his back is back to being operational, ready to go. But Kansas City is also kind of in that same category with the Milwaukee Brewers. Now they're pretty. I mean, I wouldn't say they're loaded, but they're not the Dodgers loaded, but Salvador Perez, Whit Merrifield, Carlos Santana. I mean, these are really good players. They're kind of stuck in a really tough division. Obviously, the Chicago White Sox have absolutely just have been explosive. We talked a little bit with Aaron Nagler about the run-in with the unwritten rules last night as the Chicago White Sox hit a home run on a 3-0 count off of a positional player that was pitching the game. It was at 15-4 at that point. So honestly, who cares? I mean, again, you kind of got both of Aaron Nagler and my thoughts about the unwritten rules, like they're stupid. But with that being said, Kansas City is in a very tough division, very, very tough, as are the Milwaukee Brewers. Both offenses are in a very much bit of a struggle, to say the very least. Kansas City's offense is bottom 10 in on-base percentage, slugging, and OPS. So kind of like the Milwaukee Brewers, they're offensively, they're struggling just as much, as the Milwaukee Brewers, maybe not as much. Adam drops in a comment, White Sox, with an exclamation point. Yes, Adam, you guys are phenomenal. Keep up the good work down in Chicago. Maintain to be the best team in Chicago for the Brewers' sake as well. So with that being said, the Brewers do get on a 2-game stretch here with the Kansas City Royals. Again, 4-10 in their last 14 games. You can only imagine that having Christian Yelich back in that 3-hole. Again, he is the DH for tonight. Craig Counsell did say prior to the game that they are going to be easing him back into it, whether that is, playing DH for the next 2 days. I don't care. As long as that bat is in that lineup and whoever's up on that mound, kind of like when we talked about in previous shows, there was nobody to fear the Milwaukee Brewers. And, as an offensive standpoint, again, nothing against Avi Garcia or Omar Narvaez or Luis Urias. These guys weren't fearful of those guys, the opposing pitchers. Having Christian Yelich in the lineup obviously changes that. You would like to see Keston Hiura get back into form. He took some time off from baseball. He did visit his mom out there in California and then has been with Nashville. He's kind of been what I would imagine, and as Brewers fans, what we imagine Keston Hiura's offense. Now, he's played a few games. He is 4 for 8 down in Nashville currently. All 4 of his hits have been doubles. Now, guys that know who Keston Hiura is, we know that he is not in the Major League Baseball because of his defense. It is obviously because of his offense. He's won a few batting titles down there, and he did it by hitting a ton of doubles. So seeing him go 4 for 8 in his last few games with 4 doubles, positive. I think that obviously is going to be pivotal to get him back. But the flip side of that is he has 7 strikeouts. So his strikeout percentage has increased just over 11%. You don't want to assume, that he is still the same Keston Hiura that he started the season with in 2021. Having 4 doubles, batting 500, hopefully that, gets him going in the right direction. You would hope to imagine that getting guys like Christian Yelich and Keston Hiura back, in your lineup daily, you would see a much higher jump offensively, especially with all these numbers. So again, Brewers versus Kansas City, I believe first pitch is 7:10, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's going to be an interesting series. Now, this is a team that we obviously don't see all that much. So it's going to be fun to, kind of hear different names, see different faces. Like I said, Brandon Woodruff gets a start tonight. Corbin Burns gets the start tomorrow. Now, it is only a 2-game set, if I'm not mistaken. If you are on the live feed on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter at Brew City Pod, just let me know if I'm wrong, please, at any time. All that is greatly appreciated. Trust me, I'm wrong quite a bit, and I'll probably be wrong again. But so a 2-game set versus Kansas City. You got your 2 best pitchers going up against Kansas City. You would hope that this is a 2-game series, obviously, that you could win. Again, there's got to be some type of offense. And again, not like Sunday. Scoring 10 runs and then almost losing that game. I believe they were literally 90 feet away from tying that game in the 9th inning. At one point, they were up 8-0. I don't know. I'm going to go on I got about 10 minutes left on this show, and I'm going to go on a quick 10-minute rant roughly with this Milwaukee Brewers team, because it's early. Yes, there's a lot of games to be played. Yes, a lot of guys have been injured. Yes, you played 17 days in a row going back into, in April. But there is absolutely no reason that Corbin Burns or Brandon Woodruff are pitching into the 7th and 8th inning, allowing 1 run, and you cannot manufacture 1 run or manufacture anything for that matter. I mean, there just is no reason for it. It is just infuriating as a fan to watch. Now, I don't necessarily have an answer. You hear a lot of guys and gals talk about, well, bunt, you get a guy on first, bunt him over to second, generate some type of movement on the base path. I don't know. Is that could that be a solution? Very much could be. But I'll tell you right now, whatever they're doing now is obviously not working. Now, is Sunday an anomaly? You go from scoring absolutely nothing since Tuesday or Wednesday of that week prior to now scoring 10 runs in a game. I mean, it could be. We're going to find out tonight. I'd be lying to you if I told you I had any info and background on Chris Bubic, again, going for the Kansas City Royals versus Brandon Woodruff. But you would imagine and you would hope that with Christian Yelich in his lineup, you can gather up 3, 4, 5 runs. And guys, that's all the starting rotation really needs. Really. Outside of Hauser at times and Brett Anderson, Freddie Peralta doesn't get enough credit that he's been, that he's gotten this year. The dude's been phenomenal. Yeah, he had a bad, first inning against Miami a couple weeks ago. Sure. But outside of that, he's been absolutely phenomenal. You're looking at Freddie Peralta, Brandon Woodruff, and Corbin Burns, and you're looking at 3 guys that could easily be Cy Young candidates for years to come. So I don't know what the solution is as far as this offense goes. We'll find out very soon. Is Christian Yelich that guy that they've been looking for? Could be. Could be. Then there's really nobody in that lineup that's protecting Christian Yelich or that he's helping. You need that second guy. You need that third guy. It's what made the 2018 Brewers so darn good. You couldn't pitch to 1 through 5. I mean, you couldn't. They all protected each other. Kane, Moose, Grandal, Yelich, Braun. His lineup just isn't doing it. It's just, and again, it is kind of what it is. It's just the lineup that they currently have and the team that they have the last few years. You can't go out and get guys like they got in 2018, 2019, and just, it's small market baseball. Are doing what they can. Craig Counsell is one of the best at doing what he's been doing. For God's sakes, he's the longest National League tenured manager. So he's obviously doing something right. But something's got to change. And again, like I said a few shows ago, I'm not about firing Andy Haynes. These guys are professional hitters. They know how to hit the ball. Like Aaron Nagler said a few minutes ago, they have been doing it their whole lives. Nothing's going to change. Hitting coach isn't going to make or break an offensive system. This isn't like hiring an offensive coordinator in football or a head coach in basketball. Hopefully, this is getting Yelich back is somewhat of the quote-unquote solution. Kendall drops in a comment. Hopefully, Yelich can bring that hit with him and help get the hitting going. I would hope so. I'm just going to get to a few of your guys' comments. CJ says the unwritten rules go out the window when a position player pitches. Absolutely. And if you guys missed that part with Aaron Nagler, I did ask Aaron about the unwritten rules. There was a little bit of controversy last night with the Chicago White Sox and Minnesota Twins, with the Minnesota Twins throwing out a Struble, I believe it was, out on the mound to pitch in a blowout game. And the Chicago White Sox player hit it 400 something feet out of the park on a 3-0 count, and it stirred up all kinds of crap. So, yeah, I would agree with you. Jake drops a comment, batting 500. Yelich and Hira have 0 home runs and basically haven't played. We will be okay. Now, that is the optimistic fan point of view, and I absolutely are right. Absolutely agree with you, Jake. I would imagine that getting guys like Yelich and Hira who haven't hit home runs, who really haven't hit at all, barely at all, to get them back into the lineup, you would imagine that production should come back from an offensive standpoint. It's just frustrating to watch, watch this team, pitch so well, like so very good, like historically great. And then to watch them go up and swing at 3 straight pitches or watch 3 straight pitches or swing, get a guy on second to lead off with a double and just watch him sit there on second base. It's just frustrating. It's very frustrating as a fan to watch. And you would hope and imagine that at some point it does get going. And like Jake said in his comment, guys getting Yelich and Hira back, it can only help. And I hope that's true. The big thing with getting them back is Yelich staying healthy. That's what's big to me. That's the thing that's kind of going to stick out to me more so than any of this. Yes, getting him back in the lineup tonight is phenomenal. He's, again, batting in the 3-hole, playing DH. So getting him back is absolutely pivotal. But with that back injury, it's keeping him healthy, making sure that his body responds in a way that he can come back out there in the next day and play again. Now, he was quoted after coming out of that game against the Philadelphia Phillies saying, you really can't prepare for playing in a major league game. Going down to Nashville, he did play multiple games in a row. You would imagine that body and that back was tested in ways that, the Brewers as an organization, David Stearns from Craig Counsell to, the training manager, that, these guys, he would be okay and there would be no, cause for concern, for re-injuring that back. So we'll see how it goes tonight. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Again, you're going to see kind of the lineup that was constructed minus Hira. You're going to kind of see a little bit of what the lineup should look like. So it's going to be fun seeing how they go up against an unfamiliar foe. Again, going up against Kansas City, they are kind of smashed in the middle of that division with the Chicago White Sox, Minnesota Twins. So it'll be interesting to see going forward. Now, again, I know if you guys are tuning in on the show, if you do follow the show on Twitter at Brew City Pod, if you are on the live feed, I did not talk any Bucks today, and that there was a reason for that. We're going to kind of let the Bucks marinate a little bit over the next couple of days. Their first game is Saturday. I will go ahead and dive into that. The Bucks do play the Miami Heat round 1 of the 2021 playoffs, aka revenge season for Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks. They did get the Heat in round 1. They will absolutely be tested right off the bat. Eric Spoelstra and that crew down in Miami are phenomenal at what they do. They match up defensively really good against the Milwaukee Bucks, so they will be tested real quick. We are going to dive into all of that on Friday. We will talk all Bucks. I believe I'm having a beat writer for the Miami Heat come on my show on Friday. I'm still kind of working a time exactly with him. He's absolutely covers the Heat day in and day out, so it'd be fun to kind of pick his brain going into that series with the Miami Heat. They will be in town on Saturday night. That'll do it for today's show. That was a little bit of a different show, but it was a lot of fun. Aaron Nagler from CheeseheadTV, if you're just tuning in or you're just catching up, Aaron Nagler from CheeseheadTV obviously knows the Packers inside and out, but he's also born in Appleton, Wisconsin, and he's a diehard Brewer fan. So it was really fun to kind of pick his brain, from back in the 80s and 90s and what the Brewers are now, and kind of get some of his thoughts. So he joined me today. So if you are just tuning in or you want to catch that episode, please, wherever you get your podcasts, don't forget to subscribe, whether you're on Apple or Spotify or Google, iHeartRadio. There's apps that I don't even know that existed. They exist. They're out there. Just type in Brew City Lounge. You can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook at Brew City Pod. That will do it for today's show. I am your host, Brandon. Follow me on Twitter at Wisco_Brandon. And just real quick, again, thank you to our sponsors, One Call Technology. Thank you to them, Adam and the boys. Give them a call for all your business telecom needs. Thank you to Fanatics. Partnering up with Fanatics has been phenomenal. Again, if you guys are looking for your favorite team's apparel, jump on fanatics.com. Use the code 64SHIP. Any orders over $64, you get free shipping. Now, most orders are going to be over $64 if you're shopping for any apparel the way that prices are now. If you jump on Brew City Pod's Facebook or Twitter page, our link is pinned to the top. Click on there, take you all the way to the straight to the Milwaukee Bucks and Brewers and Packers stuff. So thank you to them. Thank you to you guys for tuning in. If you guys are on the live feed, I see you popping in and up. Thank you so much. Just an absolute blast talking with Aaron Nagler today. Really big guest planned in the next week or so. Stay tuned. Probably tweeted out maybe over the weekend, a guy that I idolized growing up, a guy whose number is retired. So a little bit of a tease there. Look forward to that. It's going to be fun seeing him come on. Early shout out birthday to my dad. His birthday is coming up here in about 5 days. So I know he's watching the show as he does with every show. Happy early birthday to you, Dad. I love you. Happy birthday, 52. I want to say happy birthday. So again, if you guys are out there listening on wherever you get your smart devices, thank you guys as well. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this, and it means the world to me. So again, that'll do it for today's show. I appreciate you guys. Let's go Bucks. Let's go Brewers. Be safe. Have a good night.